So in terms of, I mean, obviously you've dealt a lot with the Muslim issues, and I think we're all curious, how bad is the situation, given that you've been involved in Muslim women's issues in particular. But what type of things have you come across just in your legal practice?
What we are seeing every day, both in my day-to-day practice and also on the committees that I'm having to deal with things, is our issues of forced marriage, where people just do not understand the difference between their cultural practices, particularly those of which we have almost 2 million in this country from the South Asian continent, that these practices are not Islamic, they are cultural, and part of my work is to point that out. Arising from forced marriage, we have honour-based violence, girls who are killed because they are trying to breach those cultural practices, either trying to run away from forced marriage or being within a forced marriage which has led to violence, trying to escape it. We have huge problems, one would have to say, in the United Kingdom of people being married to their first cousins against their wishes, tied in with the value of the British passport rather than anything else.
So bringing people from back home for...
Still, it's the first time we've ever had a wave of immigrants when 80% are still marrying from back home. That has very large socio-economic and educational difficulties, because the community here, because they're continuing to marry, mostly, if we're talking about the Pakistani community, from Mirpur, which I have visited, which is a very particularly poor part of Pakistan, where the current rates of literacy are only 3% for women and 35% for men. So if you're continuing to bring in spouses with that lack of education, it has big impacts on the community here and their advancement, and they're continuing to fail in that. And I think if you look to why young men in particular are turning to crime and drugs, or perhaps to terrorism, I think a lot of it lies in the root there, and there are real difficulties in the family life.